Well, that's...
Hi, crew. It's good to see you for another episode of Captain's Quarters podcast. Happy Valentine's Day to you. Hi, good to see you, Hellfire. Look at that. How cute is that, a Cupid? Hellfire.
Good to see you too, Captain.
Hi. Did you get any Valentines today?
I got some candy from my parents, and that was about it.
What about you, Davey? Did your Commodore give you anything?
Yes. I got some candy and a card.
I got a card and some nice new lights for our studio, so we're in good shape. Well, it's welcome to everybody here, and of course, our traditional Mike Toast. I've been talking, did not drink. And for any of you that want to know what we're doing tonight with our rum, it is Sailor Jerry's Savage Apple, because it's Valentine's and I'm feeling quite savage. So we thought maybe we'd just go with that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have... Oh, look at that. Look forward to a fantastic night. Thank you, Zachary Harker. We're glad to see you online with us. So let's start off with... there's Scarlett Deerhart. She is watching. I saw her earlier today in the Colonial Quarter.
Yeah.
How about if we start off with a introduction? We have a very special guest here tonight, and we're very pleased to have him here. I have to say that I've been working with him. Well, I worked with him once around 2008 or 2009. We're still arguing over it. And we haven't really worked together since, but we have kept in touch. And it just so happens he came into town the end of last week, and he's still here. And I just had to have him on board the show. Show up that banner, Mr. There it is. Come on over. Go ahead, mate. Yes, very good. And ladies and gentlemen, David Ingle, Pirate School, The Secret Life of Pirates. Here he is. Go ahead, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. Welcome aboard, mate. Welcome aboard.
We're shaking hands these days,
We are
aren't
shaking
we?
hands. Finally. We're still not sure about the hugging and the kissing, but have a seat and relax.
No hugging and kissing. It's Valentine's Day, Captain.
I know. Hey, and I have some nectar of the gods if you'd like to have a drink and share some with me tonight.
I'll just disarm myself for some of this technologically advanced communication we're going to have tonight.
We don't want you stabbing anything or anybody.
Oh, that feels good to be sitting down. I've been on the road, as it were. Oh,
cheers to you, sir, and welcome to my studio.
Cheers
Captain's
to you.
Quarters podcast.
Thank you, and to you, fair maids and lads at wherever you may be.
So let's start off with quote of the week. I believe, Mr. Longwood, you've got that set. Let's go with the quote of the week. Love is just love. It can never be explained. If that couldn't be more confusing, I don't know what could.
Ma'am, could you explain that to me?
I can't explain it.
All right.
It's a four-letter word. Let's leave it at that. Yes. How about question of the week? What does Valentine's Day mean to you? Ladies and gentlemen, that's an iffy question. And be careful, gentlemen out there, how you answer it. But if you have an answer for us during the show, post it up there. Mr. Hellfire, paying attention to everything. He will make sure that we see some of the more timely answers.
What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to you? I'll tell you what it means to me. I can't tell you. It's too deep. But I'll tell you what it does mean in reality. Here's what it means. It means that we need to have a day that we show our love for not just our lady friends, but to all the people we have affection for. And it shouldn't be just Valentine's Day. It should be 365 days. But we have a special day to make sure that we at least do it once a year.
Well said. Well said. There is a need to be a little bit more of that give and take from the spirit of the heart for
Yes,
each other.
very much
Not
so.
just taken as it is we're wont to do.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that we talk about Valentine's Day here. And to start with talking about Valentine's Day, Valentine's Day is our anniversary. Oh, that's right, Mr. Lemons. I
Wow.
remember that.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary to Adam and Christy. They are part of the St. Augustine Swashbucklers and fine musicians also. Very good musicians. And he's an interesting one to talk to and listen to their music, and we love having them there.
I must say, I join you in that. I proposed to my wife on Valentine's Day.
Did you really?
Yeah,
She
said yes.
Well, that made you a happy Professor Bones.
Yeah, it was very nice. In my other world, in my everyday world. But I always said that I've never been married, and I thought I would just skip my first and my second marriage and go right to my successful third.
That's a good way to do it. Very intelligent. It's about my family to me. Thank you, the little traveler. Thank you very much. It's the day I gave Lemons a squeeze. That's Christy, Mr. Lemons. Oh, boy, it's a good thing this is a PG show. Squeeze him all you want.
Captain, I almost did a spit take with your fine unction here. That one.
This one's a good one, eh? So, Mr. Longwood, I had a couple of vintage, as we were doing some research this weekend, I found some vintage Valentine's Day cards. They were pretty cute, and I thought maybe we'd share them. They're actually just past the turn of the century, 1900, vintage Valentine's Day cards. Pop those up there, Mr. Longwood.
Oh.
There's the first one. Ahoy, my Valentine. Even then, females wanted to be pirates.
Yeah,
Look
she's
at that.
a bonny lass.
Isn't she? And there's that parrot. And, well, nothing says love like a woman holding your heart with a pistol in her hand.
Aye.
Yeah, very good. Let's see the second one, mister. Now, that one's kind of nice. I can't read it very well, but it's a pair of them in a boat. Pirates as they are, and it's kind of cute. That's turn of the century. Look at the little tiny crows in the very bottom.
Oh, is that
there.
a boat? Oh,
is a
yeah.
boat.
I thought for a second it was a bathtub. It's something that you and I don't really know.
I don't
too
know
much
anything about bathing. No, not at all.
Why am I?
Yeah, it's a nice saying. It says pirates bold, search for gold, and Valentines like you.
Oh, very nice.
Beautiful.
How about that? A little bit of pirate Valentine poetry. The third one, though, I thought the third one, I ain't kidding. Valentine, I'd like to kidnap you. Now, in this day and age, I'm pretty sure that would get a child in trouble saying he wants to kidnap somebody.
Yeah, that's a federal offense, apparently.
And I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing that says Valentine's like a young lady or a young man with a knife stabbing you in the heart.
Oh, there you have it.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are some vintage Valentines. And one of the reasons I found them so funny is because, and I know I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to because it's my show.
Of course.
The woke attitude of things where they are all upset about things now because it's something that happened 20 years ago. We don't have the same mindset 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And we really have to be careful with how deep we get into being ugly with people. Today is a day for Valentine's to be nice, celebrate, and love your neighbors. First date with a soon-to-be wife. So Valentine's is when I met my forever Valentine. Very good, Will the historian. Very good. So those are a couple of vintage cards that I found. I thought they would be interesting, but as I was looking at them, it just made me laugh, and I had to bring them up because, as you know, humor is a good thing.
Humor is a great thing, Captain Mayhem. One of the things about Valentine's is that there's a lot of pressure, right? There's a lot of pressure on the lads and lasses and every type of guppy in between. A lot of pressure to behave in a certain way. And like what you were saying, the idea of Valentine's is about inclusion and loving your the people around you, your family, and perhaps even your neighbor. But
even your four-legged friends there. Hi, Mr. Longwood.
Oh yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. So I had to bring my friend onto the show when I found out he was in town, and it's been wonderful to finally catch up after all these years.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 10 years or more, a little more than
Yeah.
that. 2008, so we're talking 14 years. But for us to stay friends and talk with that wonderful thing called the internet, At least there's some good things about the internet. So it's been good, and you've been very, very successful. You've got your shows going, and you're traveling around the country, entertaining children everywhere. And we should really talk to you and ask you some great questions. Well, at least I think they're great questions.
Oh,
But what's Scarlet write?
Scarlet.
I wrote a Valentine's Day poem for my love. It goes, "You are the shot in my pistol, the kindling of my flame, or for my flame. You're the rum in my flagon. So be my Valentine's today." Oh, that's very nice.
Captain, before we get to questions, we might want to do the meet the crew and the crew adventures.
All right, let's go ahead and do that real quick. The meet the crew. We've got one more extra officer that is now part of the crew. Our quartermaster is now Leon Sesla. Our sergeant at arms will be Stephen Kreider. Both of them are reenactors and have joined our crew and have some great background in black powder and the knowledge of safety for our crew. Our ship's scribe is Adam Lemons. Our ship's navigator is David Leopold, otherwise known as Davy Longwood. And our ship's purser, our newest officer, is Vicky Bell. She'll be ringing the bell on us every time we make some money. So that's a good one for us to have.
Here, let's pipe them aboard.
Go ahead.
Ooh.
There you go.
Very good. There'll be some dogs out in the neighborhood barking at us now. You watch. And a crew adventure. We like to at least let everybody know the Celtic Festival is coming up in March, along with the Spring Festival. You'll see that as a new one on the poster. That's March 26th. There is the Pirates of Pontchartrain over in Louisiana. Now, although I will not be going this year and participating, we are still going to be supporting them. And in a couple of weeks, they are on our list to be a special guest for the show and talk all about their things. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
And then in June, we have our Midsummer Night's Dream, June 18th. And of course, you can come and visit our Christmas village and our Halloween village. And ladies and gentlemen, always the Pirates Podcast.
I must be allergic to the word Pontchartrain.
Maybe that's what it is. It's a rough word. Very good. It's that Louisiana thing, So there you have it. The crew is very busy. We have lots of things going on, and we hope that all of you will join us at any of our events. And if you have any questions, there are ways for you to get in touch with all of us via our emails and our podcast, Captain's Quarters on YouTube. So please pay attention to us. And at this point in time, as much as I hate to say it, when you go to YouTube, subscribe and like.
Subscribe and like.
Yeah, that like is a good thing for today. But ladies and gentlemen, the subscribing is what helps us. And Mr. Longwood will be bragging about our subscribers towards the end of the show. We've done really well. We've gone up a couple more numbers. So we're very happy, very pleased.
And it's very easy. You don't need a quill and ink to subscribe. Just your finger.
That's it. Your finger, and poke that button right there on that keyboard. Make sure it's the right button, though. Otherwise, you're going to be typing a lot of letters.
Easy.
And the right finger.
Yes. Hi. What's that, Mr. Longwood?
And make sure it's the right finger.
Yes, make sure it's the right finger. Not the left finger, the right finger. All right, we'll remember that. Very good. So how about you tell us what's the farthest distance you've gone to perform a show?
Oh, well. So Captain Mayhem has invited me to interact with you all. Indeed, I have been performing this character, Professor Bones, for nigh on 33 years. Pirate School is the name of the show. And the furthest afield I have performed in China, 3 different occasions.
Wow.
That was a long way to row. I performed as a wee lad from 19 and then several variations thereof across Europe, about 10 or 11 different countries. A lot of street theater, swashbuckling, sword fighting, and comedy. But in America, I tend to tour to art centers and festivals nationwide. But I will indeed take my ship, which is called the Ship Ridiculous, the SS Ridiculous.
I like that. That's a good name.
If you go on that, there is the Tickin website of this. Who is that whippersnapper? David Engel. That's my stage name.
Pleur de Moon.
My
Maybe.
Pleur de Moon. My plume de guerre. My nom de plume.
Nom de plume.
DavidEngelShows.com. You'll see the ship Ridiculous, which is something that I fabricated to be able to sail in and sail out of every theater. So that's like a wearable black pearl, as it were, a bit of a full rig ship. So I am limited to where I can bring that craft. But yeah, I think China is probably the furthest afield I performed, and Indonesia and Singapore.
Were you the only one in the show for the China show, or were there other performers, other acts?
Good question. It was there were 3 different festivals of Western clowns. That's a redundancy. Western clowns. So there were clowns from all over the United States and from Europe, and we were very well taken care of, except for when the soldier drove in our bus with the little Chinese flags in the front into oncoming traffic to get us to our stage on time. But it's okay. There were like 250,000 people on the street already, so
it didn't matter. Yes,
we were moving very fast.
Western clowns. You know, it gives me mind of a story I heard about a bunch of. I'm trying to think what they're cannibals that were living on an island and a boat full of clowns shipwrecked on there. And that evening, as the cannibals were eating the clowns because they had cooked them up for dinner, one of the cannibals looked to the other one and said, "Hey, does this taste kind of funny to you?"
If I had a nickel,
I know.
If I had a nickel for every time I heard that.
Yeah,
but it's true. I mean, Pirate School is essentially a clown show. I'm a character like a Monty Python style clown, but I have been steeped in my love of the sea. I've been a lifelong sailor. My father, after World War II, commandeered a 2-masted ketch. I guess that's a redundancy too, because they all have 2 masts. Sailed out to Cuba, and from Chicago.
Wow,
that's a feat.
That is a feat
to sail from Chicago to Cuba, down the Mississippi. But so sailing and the love of piracy, the love of the because I'm a performer for children, predominantly, the idea of the historical element of the reality of the great age of the pirate, and I sidestep that. I live a little bit closer towards where Disney brought the pirate. But thank goodness, because that type of world, Barry and Peter Pan, maintained the spirit of the swashbuckling adventurer, the buccaneer, in all of our hearts.
It's what made the movie The Goonies popular, because they had that touch of the pirate swashbuckling in them.
Oh my gosh. Everywhere you go, you have some, and you see the pirate meme or the pirate imagery almost everywhere you go. And I must say, especially post-pandemic, where it's been very challenging to work, I always say, whenever I see a skull and crossbones on a little kid's hat, I say, it's job security.
Yes, it is. I've often told people it doesn't matter how bad the movies might be, because, out of 5 Pirate of the Caribbean movies, they can't all be grand movies.
No.
And several of them, but we won't talk about them, several of them are not grand movies. But as long as they keep making pirate movies and pirate TV shows and whatever else, hey,
we doff our hats to you.
Please, the more you make. So it works out well for us. Do you know what your largest audience has ever been?
Oh yes, yeah. So again, I've been very blessed and grateful for a certain amount of success. Pirate School is my signature act, but I have many other shows that I do. But my biggest audience with Pirate School had to have been in Texas, where they do everything big.
Everything's big in Texas.
And I brought one of my arts and education shows called Pirate School: The Science of Pirates. I do 2 arts and education school shows, and then my Pirate School family fun show is called Pirate School Sea Dreams. But in Texas, they hired me to do The Science of Pirates, and I was in a dressing room that had that Mick Jagger had signed the wall on.
Wow!
So I was like, who is this guy? Anyway, it was at a big music venue, and I had 5,000 kids.
Wow.
5,000 kids, but you couldn't tell because it was a 10,000 seat. No, it was like a 13,000 seat venue. and so 5,000 kids in the seats made it look empty. But it was a big show.
But it was a big
Big
show.
show. They had me on a jumbotron.
Did they really?
It was very exciting.
That's very cool. Very cool. So you've been doing your show, your pirate character, as you said, for 30 years. But 33.
Yeah, but who's counting?
Who's counting after 30? That's just trying to prove to you that you're older.
Right.
But you have 5 other characters. I'm trying to remember 5 or 6 other characters.
It goes on and on and on. Look, I'm a professional performer.
You're also Shakespearean too, with Shakespearean background.
Yeah, I've always had my feet, my purser's crabs in 2 camps: the legit classical acting, where I enjoyed Shakespeare and avant-garde work and TV and film back in the day, and then to make a living, I answered an ad in a paper in 1988. Somebody wanted to do birthday parties, and I said, "That's the hardest audience known to man."
Yeah, it
right?
is. It is very much so. I do birthday parties. And,
yeah, and it boy does it keep you on your toes. And so of course, so at the time I was a fight director. I was choreographing sword fighting and such, and I loved sailing, and I pirates was an immediate thought, and I created Billy Bones. And from then on I started to develop shows that would allow me to work 365 days a year. So I created shows for the Halloween era, the time holidays, and then general appeal. So I have my signature shows are Pirate School, Wizard Academy, there's a Superhero Training Academy, and then I have Willy Wonka's Wonder Show. I do the Grinch during the holidays. So you and we can get together.
Yes.
The holidays, and I have other shows.
You have a Professor Gravity too.
Dr. Gravity.
Dr. Gravity,
Yeah,
Dr.
he
Gravity.
didn't make he passed up his professorship. Dr. Gravity is another science-based show that I'm working on. I'm developing a new show called Captain Nemo, one of my heroes of literature. Captain Nemo.
And you told us the title of that. And I thought, what a great play on words, and what a great title, 20,000 Laughs Beneath the Sea.
Thank you.
What a great title
Thank
that
you.
is. Very, very cool.
I didn't make it up myself. No, I did. I mean, I just riffing on Jules Verne.
Yes, very
Yeah.
much so. Yeah. But, hey, the greatest form of flattery is to steal from somebody else, isn't it?
Indeed.
Indeed. That's why we're pirates. Right? That's why we're pirates. So, do you have a most memorable show or a most memorable experience, even if it's just a small bit of something?
Right. There are legion. I've been, anything goes during shows, and my shows are scripted, but there's a huge amount of improvisation.
So you probably do your scripting like I do. I know what I want to do, but I don't know everything I'm going to completely say. And everything I'm going to do around that trick, if I'm doing a magic show,
Yeah.
because it's all based on how is the audience interacting with you.
Right. Well, that's the thing. The beautiful thing about the theater is that it's live and interactive, and so one memorable moment was something that I didn't even know it was happening until years later, and because it's St. Valentine's Day, I thought I would share this tidbit. So my wife came complete with a daughter already. So, and when we met, it was days later before I told her what I did, because try to be 50 and single and a clown and date, right?
Yes.
So I didn't really talk about what I do. And so I finally confessed. I said, look, I'm a professional touring performer, a clown, physical comedian. And she said, wait. And I said, yeah, what? And she said, are you a pirate? And I said, yeah. And I don't know a lot of performers who just do like what I do. I mean, there are people like you.
Right.
You can name probably touring entertainers who do do a pirate show, not even on one hand. I mean, there are not many of us.
Right.
So she said, we saw you 3 years ago, 3 years before she met me, with my daughter at Symphony Space in Manhattan. She said, my daughter saw the poster on the street on Broadway. Yeah, I played Broadway.
Right, very good.
Yeah, way uptown in the Upper West Side. She said, we saw you, and she was and she said she was looking at me thinking, boy, does that guy look like he's having fun up there? And she looked down at my hands, as all of us single folks in the audience probably understand. She was looking for my ring, and I didn't have one. And she just remarked that that I seemed like a good catch. And that was 3 years before we met. And we met, and then were married 6 months later.
What a great Valentine's story that
It
is.
was pirate love at first sight. I didn't even know it for 3 years.
What a grand story that is. Very wonderful.
But Captain Mayhem, I mean, there have been things like I've had bomb threats on stages, not for my particular show. There have been tornadoes and fire alarms that have, evacuated the audience. I performed, as you, I'm sure, have, on ships, right, at sea. So that brings its own.
I performed once near the DMZ in North and South Korea.
There you go.
And it was a cold day, and we were at one of the U.S. military bases just at the DMZ, and some sniper fire happened from the other side, and the soldiers came on stage and grabbed us all in our props and moved us to a place, and it was interesting. That's probably the most interesting thing that's ever happened to me during a performance.
Yeah.
To be herded off stage like that quickly. And I was in the military at the time. I was still doing military stuff, but I did some work with the USO over there because I had friends and connections in the USO. So when I had free time and break time with my work, I would go and perform.
Wow.
And gunfire sounds off in the distance, and everybody gets nervous and pull us all off stage. And it was an interesting time.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, we don't need you. We're just going to be jawing between the two of us for a while.
Yes, it was. So we worked the Southern Pirate Festival in Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah, at the
2009, we believe, maybe
Twice.
Yes, twice, 2 years in a row.
2 years in a row.
2008, 2009, maybe. I don't think it was 10. I think it was 8, 9. And in Columbus, Georgia, is the National Civil War Museum.
Naval Museum.
Naval Museum, that's right. And so you did a show the first year. We became friends the first year. While he was doing shows inside with they gave him the big stage inside. They gave me the outdoor stage with the hay bales on the outside doing magic shows. But we became friends, and we have things in common.
Yeah,
our performances, our concepts of how live shows should be. The fact that we both like to do things for the children.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're both pretty goofy in our own rights, which makes for a good show. And we probably, and I have only 1 or 2 friends that are like this, so I'll ask you and put you on the spot here. But some of my comedy icons, my comedy chops, so to speak,
Sure.
come from certain comedians.
Oh, good. Let's
Red
compare.
Buttons, Dom DeLuise,
Nice.
Dean Martin, all the Dean Martin roasts, Jonathan Winters.
Love them.
So I would assume some of the same ideas and same thoughts and same process comes with you too.
Yeah. Well, we're going to date ourselves here.
Yeah.
So all of you technologically savvy millennials, just start Googling these names, because it is indeed an education to absorb the timing and the rhythms, the sensibilities of the performers that came before us. After all, as they say, nothing is new. There are
Nothing
about
is new.
8 different plots, and then they just make up everything from those, because we come as performers and as also characters. Clown. I'm not calling you a clown.
I don't mind. I wouldn't mind
happily
that.
calling myself a clown, even though oftentimes people mistake what a clown is these days. It's a lineage of truth tellers, of seers from ancient times. In fact, right now you might even notice I have a little bit of a red on my nose and a little red on my ears. The red ear clown. Well, actually, the red nose clown is ancient Greek. Dionysus festival. The truth teller of the person that drinks from a bottle. But Dionysus, the god of wine, had a red nose, and that's where the original clown red nose comes from. And the red ear clown is a very old 19th century clown. So you asked about some of my inspirations. The first that comes to mind is Daffy Duck.
Oh,
Daffy Duck is go back and watch. If you want to learn about timing and intention and clarity, Daffy Duck is a great mentor. There's Danny Kaye.
Danny Kaye. Yes, Danny Kaye. Love Danny Kaye. In fact, one thing I have to tell people, I was in a play here in St. Augustine. Some people know about the play that we did at the beginning of the opening of the Colonial Quarter. And it was a play about a bunch of performers in the 1700s that had come to St. Augustine, and there was a sword fight in it. And Danny Kaye's hypnotic sword fight from the court jester was one of my favorite sword fights. We incorporated that in, and I was the wizard or the magician in the show, so I was the one controlling the sword fighter. And it was just everything he ever did. I'm a big fan of him. He was a wonderful performer.
Yeah. What you said about, because there's a bit in my show. I don't know if you have that. What is Navigator Davy? There's a bit in my show. I think you had queued up.
There we go. Very good. That was a good clip. Thanks, David. You're paying attention. Good. What a navigator you are.
Yeah, we'll throw you a quarter later. What you saw a little bit there was I do a sword fighting routine, but I'm a solo entertainer, so I thought I really want a sword fight. So I'll sword fight myself, and I'll lose. So there was a little bit of that there. So yeah, inspiration is so important as in all professions, but as an entertainer, the Three Stooges.
Very good. Even Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin.
Oh, my favorites.
Jerry Lewis. I loved all of Jerry Lewis's movies because he is, and let's go forward into the 1980s, 1970s, late 70s, early 80s. Even Chevy Chase, who was a pratfall comedian. He was a physical comedian. Yep. There's not Monty a lot Python. Of Monty Python. Love Monty Python too. And,
hats go off.
John Cleese and
all the people that came before us.
Yes, very much so. So our comedy inspirations are pretty much the same. And I have one other pirate that he's the same way. And when we get together and do things, even if we do improv, and we don't know what each other's going to do, we know what each other's going to do. Yeah. And it just works out to be great comedy improv. And there's been some other pirates that have tried to copy some of the things we've done, and they don't quite get where that connection comes from.
This is an interesting point. I know some of your viewers are brethren of the coast.
Right.
And there is an interesting sort of dynamic, because I've done a lot of pirate, kids stages at pirate festivals, and then I'm just the only pirate at some other festivals.
I prefer those most of the
right.
time.
Well, that's the thing. There different worlds sort of collide. Oh, thank you.
Very welcome, sir.
Different worlds collide, and so for a while, I don't often have such robust facial hair, but thanks to the pandemic, I did. But I would pencil in my mustache because it works for many of my other characters. the pirate reenactors, as it were, they didn't know what to make of me, even though I've been, by the statute of limitations. Let's be
33 years.
Yeah, I'm 33 years. I might as well be a pirate, right? But I draw in the best of the family audience, in my estimation. The idea of what I access or try to capture is the natural boisterous tendency of the child and the wistful, nostalgic sea dreams of the adults. And that's what the lore, that's what the love, that's the passion of the pirate. And I mean, that's what was so beautiful when you suggested I come on the show tonight, the podcast, Valentine's. And I thought, of course, we're pirates. We're passionate sailors, buccaneers, even the, dare I say, the original, the rough and tumble pirate. What was consistent was their passion for, ill-gotten booty, right? Treasure.
So.
They had passion for their ships. They had passion for each other in a way that was, they needed each other to work as a crew. They were diplomatic and everyone had a vote. The pirate code. There was a passion for a certain honor, even though it was an honor among thieves.
Honor and loyalty. As I tell people,
loyalty.
one of the articles in almost every one of the codes: no man of the crew shall lie, cheat, and steal from any other man in his crew. Ironically, they can do it to everybody else in the world, but not to their crew.
Yeah. So there was passion, and there's of course passion for the sea and passion for the element. Sure, it was awful. The way the lifestyle was dangerous and full of disease and hazards. But the one thing that I have always connected with, and I think that we all connect with, as lovers of the lore of the pirate, is this idea of the passion for what's over the horizon, of the discovery and of freedom, and of self-determination, and that I see in the kids, because I perform. My target audience is 4 to 12, and I have material for the sullen preteens and then
Right.
all the adults that come, and even the teenagers who are dragged to shows, because I respect them all, but because they have this passion. I do these shows, and I must say, I know you have experienced this, and perhaps many of our listeners too, your listeners, but I'm a solo entertainer, and I will be standing backstage before a show. And sometimes these shows, especially the school ones, have 2,500 kids, 2,000 kids, I mean, on average. And then the smaller shows, 300, 400,
Right.
500. But the sound I hear when I'm waiting to get my cue, the sound of that excitement. And, I have my remote control things. I run all my sound, and I have a fog machine that I press a button for. When I spit that fog into my set, the sound level rises and the excitement. And that is what not only keeps us going, I'm sure, I can
We
speak
feed
for
off
you.
the energy.
You feed off that energy, but also it just reminds me that I'm 33 years and I didn't make that much of a mistake.
No, I don't think you did. You're very popular.
Yeah.
Your show is wonderful.
Well, Thank you.
I've often tried to work out ways that we could have you here in St. Augustine at some of our events. It just hasn't worked out, and then COVID really caused a problem.
I'm too expensive for him.
That might be too.
But I would love to come down. I was so impressed and jealous of the beautiful space that you have that St. Augustine has in the
Colonial Quarter.
The Colonial Quarter and the Pirate Museum and that whole zone. You must come down to see this guy in action.
So I'll tell you how I take care of teenagers, because we do get teenagers. that
I
come
take
to
care
our
of
tours.
teenagers.
Right.
I know how to take care of teenagers.
Yeah, that works too.
Sorry.
All right. Usually the first question out of my mouth for a group of teenagers: how many of you are here because you really like history? And a few of them will raise their hand. How many of you are here because it was a perfect opportunity to get out of class for the day? And a lot of them raise their hand, and then you've got them at that point.
Right.
They're laughing, and they realize that I understand too. So we'll just have some fun with this tour, and by the time the tour is over, I've never had a teenager be upset.
Yeah.
Because you have to give them a certain amount of respect, and the minute you give them that respect, and you give them the same treatment that you would give other adults, because they're young adults, they'll fall over onto it. Ransom Mayhem. I would like to talk to David about coming to our event in Panama City Beach, Pirates on the High Seas. Now, does the name Mayhem sound familiar to you?
Yeah, what is it? Your sister?
It actually, it's not my sister. He's the uglier of the two Mayhem brothers.
Oh, indeed. Twins. I'm surrounded.
Twins. Yeah. Here's why I do that, because every time we're introduced, he always tells everybody he's the better looking one. So I can use my show to get over on him one time at least. But no, he has a great pirate festival over there. He works hand in hand with the Chamber of Commerce, and literally it would be probably another place for you to do. Doors open now.
I would be delighted, and we'll get our cell phones out, and we'll interact.
So, Mr. Longwood, we're
Yes.
reaching points that we probably need to talk about some other things before we just continue talking through the night. But what I'd like to do is, I found a few things on Valentine history that I wanted to share with everybody.
Oh, I love history.
And there was so much on Valentine history. And because we are trying to be, as for the most part, a family rated show, there was a lot of things I probably did not want to put up here. But I do want to bring a couple of things to everybody's point so we understand the real story of Valentine's Day, which is a true origin that is very vague. But according to most legends, the day is celebrated to mark the death and anniversary of Saint Valentine himself, who died in mid-February 270 AD.
270 AD.
That's a long time. And it is said that St. Valentine was a priest who defied the emperor's orders and secretly married couples to spare the husbands from being inducted into the war.
Is that an emperor, like a Roman emperor?
I believe it is Roman emperor. Yes, it was.
Boy, they were rough on priests back then.
Oh, and he suffered greatly.
Yeah.
He did suffer. Here's something. I'm going to read it first, then tell you where it came from. I'm not going to tell you before. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, and it does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking, and it is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Even love transfers from biblical words. Believe it or not, that's 1 Corinthians 13, verses 1 through 13.
You know, a lot of people got married to that too, I'm sure.
I'm sure they did. That is probably why it sounds so familiar to so many
Right.
people.
A lot of people use that in their marriage vows.
Who started Valentine's Day in America? It said that, do you know?
Hallmark.
Oh, well, that's not quite in this time frame, but Hallmark is responsible. But this time frame is the 1800s, when Esther Howland began mass producing Valentine's Day cards and popularized them in America.
Huh.
She is often referred to as the mother of American Valentine. But a few fun facts about Valentines. Some fun facts. St. Valentine's Day has its roots in ancient pagan festivals.
There you go.
Right?
As many things do.
Yes, it does. In the 1300s, it officially became a holiday associated with love. Cupid has its roots in what mythology?
Oh, Putis, the Cupids, the little Greek.
Greek mythology, absolutely
I
right.
went to school.
Aye.
Pirate school.
The first Valentine was sent in the 15th century.
No.
Not until the 1840s did we get the mass-produced Valentine cards. In 1913, Hallmark
1913.
produced their first Valentine's Day cards. And two things that are the symbol of love and Valentine's are ribbons and lace.
Not the heart.
Not the heart.
Not the
Ribbons and lace.
Not the. Yeah, I was going to
Yes.
say something untoward.
Now, one of the very most popular Valentine's poems reads in 1784, and most of you have probably heard this: roses are red, violets are blue, the honey's sweet, and so are you.
Thank you, Captain.
Yes. But It actually is a rewrite of the first appearance of a poem in its original form by Sir Edmund Spenser's 1590s epic, The Faerie Queene.
Oh yes.
And it said, or it was actually written
1590.
1590.
He stole that from Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. The Faerie Queene.
Probably. She bathed with roses red and violets blue and all the sweetest flowers that in the forest grew. So it sounds really nice.
Hold on a minute,
Wait.
everybody. Let's give him a little round of applause for that oration.
I thought I did very well.
Very
I didn't skip a beat and miss a word. But I understand it's very possible you have a piece of poetry to share with us.
They don't call me Professor Bones for nothing.
All right. Well, let's hear what you have
Well,
to share.
I
with
was
us.
appreciating your segue from the elements of Valentine's, and of course, poetry is a powerful language. Hey, and any young people out there, just get your poet on, and you'll see what type of love you can drum up. So I actually did bring the ancient book of the Mariner. It's I use this in my show, but I love poetry, and like I was saying before, there was we were talking about pirates being passionate.
Yes, very
Passionate about things, and one of the things that pirates and poets share is the passion for their worlds, and poetry is words evoking incredible the human experience, and some poets have evoked the passion that I feel for the sea, and this is one I'd like to share with you, if you don't mind.
Please, by all
this
means,
is-
our audience is waiting.
We have a very short poem. It's a Japanese style of poetry called haiku.
Haiku to you too.
Haiku to you.
Right.
Some people say haiku is just written by lazy poets, but actually it's really hard to do.
It is not easy. I've tried.
You don't just write lines of poetry, even in words, you write in syllables. So this one is actually something that I found was beautiful, and it's a little amuse-bouche, like an appetizer for poetry. It's entitled As I Drift by Andrea Dietrich,
Aye.
a fine piratical name. As I drift. Writing as I drift on the ocean's endless blue, my soul overflows. Sort of leaves you wanting more.
Aye, it does. That's why it's called an appetizer.
Right.
Very good. I like it.
But I was during the pandemic, I created a series of 30-minute episodes called Marooned Together, sort of like a swashbuckling Mr. Rogers TV show. And one of the sections that I have it's a variety show of pirate crafts, pirate snacks, pirate science of pirates and such. And one part was called Poop Deck Poetry, where I sat next to my fire, because that's how I heat my studio. And this is one of my favorite poems from years ago. And I hope you enjoy it too. And I hope to regale you with this, because it does indeed encapsulate the power of our desire to go to sea.
All right. Well, let's hear it.
Called Sea Fever by John Masefield. I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. And the wheels kick, and the wind's song, and the white sails shaken, and a grey mist on the sea's face, and a grey dawn a-breaking. I must go down to the seas again, for the call of the running tide is a wild call and a clear call that may not be denied. And all I ask is a windy day and the white clouds a-flying, and the flung spray and the blown spume and the seagulls crying. I must go down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whales way where the wind's like a whetted knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and a quiet sleep and a sweet dream when the long tricks is over.
Oh,
Thank you. That was a
very wonderful. Very
sea
wonderful.
fever.
I like that. Cheers to you and
Thank
your
you.
abilities as a great orator.
An orator.
An orator.
You know, before you drink, I wrote a poem myself.
You did you?
I don't know. I wonder if there's a way to ask your audience if they're interested in hearing Professor Billy Bones' own oration.
Well, I'm pretty sure they'd like to hear your own oration.
It's a family show.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you an original poem by Professor Billy Bones.
There you go. It's entitled "A Pirate Loves His Booty." It's a family show. All right, here we go. A pirate loves his booty. It's true, as you shall see. Without he gets some booty, where would a pirate be? A pirate loves his treasure, a prize beyond compare. You too may need some booty, so listen well with care. Spy a stranger's booty, mates, someone unknown to you. Pray they give up without a fight, or you'll have to run 'em through. You've got your booty, so dance about with glee. Not every rogue gets such fine booty, so hold it tenderly. We're talking about treasure, right?
Aye.
And so hold it tenderly. Now, booty can get quite dirty with seaweed, sand, and mess. So here's some advice for keeping yours in a state of cleanliness. Take a rag and rub it, mates, for booty's best when dry. Shine your booty heartily. It's most pleasing to the eye. Now, don't leave your booty in the sun. It tarnishes and hurts it. Perhaps bury it in the sand, or perhaps wrapped up in velvet. I'm losing my train of thought, and I don't even know what a train of thought is.
Most of the time, I'm off the rails.
Exactly. So we're gonna just quit while we're ahead.
Aye.
That's what I've learned in 33 years of performing. Just end on the shimmer.
Aye. And I think that is a wonderful poem, a very wonderful poem by Professor Billy Bones. You've heard it here. And I say,
for the first time and the last.
Hey, cheers to you, Professor, and thank you for being here. We have a couple of things we want to do with our audience. Is there any great questions or answers that have come up that we need to address as we get prepared to talk about what's new on the horizon? Oh, wait. Can't talk about what's new on the horizon until we give Commodore. There's no Commodore here.
Did you just give yourself a promotion?
No, I heard my other half in the other half of the house. That's the Commodore of this ship. Aye.
We still have this week's in history.
Yes, there she is,
The
right
Commodore.
there. That's the Commodore. She's wearing her jacket too, and she came in to check on us. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Longwood, as always, does a very great this moment in history or this week in history. So, lend your Very good.
That was a lot of history there.
A lot of history, which is one of the reasons we do the show, because we share history and we have a good time, and we bring on some wonderful guests, like the guest we have sitting here. We're very honored to have Mr. David Professor Billy Bones. Very honored to have him here. We've had some great guests in the past, and we've got some great guests coming up in the future, which is a great segue for what's on the horizon.
Oh, before that, though, I did make something special.
Did you?
Valentine's Day video that we're going to send out to
Hats off! That rum went down the wrong pipe.
You're looking good there,
Very
gentlemen.
good. I didn't know I could dance that well. My goodness. It reminds me of my younger days in the disco time.
The disco
The
time.
disco
The
time.
time of disco.
Very good, Mr. Longwood. Very good. Hi, Henley. I didn't know you had it in you.
I didn't either.
Henley, I didn't know anything was in you. You've been so quiet for the whole chat.
He's a wary eye to watch.
I thought he was just sleeping on the watch.
No, sometimes it's not necessarily him. He's got a wax figure that he puts in place while he goes to the bathroom. So how about let's do the new on the horizon? What do we got over the next couple of weeks coming up? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we've just done our Valentine's Day. That's pretty cool. Next week, we're going to talk about President's Day and the history of President's Day. A lot of people don't know this, but there were 12 presidents before George Washington. Did you know that?
No,
Yeah, there were 12 men that served as president before George Washington. George Washington was not actually officially president of the United States until 1783. So we're going to throw that in and talk to people about it and throw that little bit of history.
Sounded like one of those confounded conspiracy stories.
Aye. So February 28th, we're going to talk to my good friend Alvin Brumfeld. He is the owner of the Louisiana Renaissance Festival, and last year he started in 2021 the Pirates of Pontchartrain Festival in the spring, and he'll be doing it again this year in April. I am unable to attend this year, but we still want to give them plenty of support and talk about their event, and so he'll be coming on remotely from Louisiana. And then on March 7th, my good friends Ole and his wonderful daughter, they wrote a book together that I've read and talked about already. And I'll just give you a little hint. It's about what would have happened in the United States of America if a zombie apocalypse had an outbreak just prior to the idea that the Civil War was going to happen. It meant no Civil War happened, and the entire country banded together to fight the zombies.
Oh, wouldn't that have boy?
It's a wonderful story. It really is.
fiction.
And my friend is Ole Mackerel, as we know him as Pirates, but William Leclerc. He is was out in Colorado over the weekend at an authors convention, a writers convention, and he was putting up his book. I actually believe that his book, and he's writing a second one now, I actually believe that if somebody actually sat down and worked on it, I think it would make a really great TV series.
Yeah, binge worthy.
Yes, it is very much so, and it's kind of a combination of zombies, the American history of the 1840s and 50s, and steampunk.
Can I interrupt with something very related?
Please do.
I have a selfless promotional plug, not different from the entire podcast, but actually what you just said. So I have finished my first ever novel now I didn't write the novel. A wonderful Scotsman from Scotland wrote it. It's the third of a series. I was the narrator for an incredible swashbuckling saga called A Sacrifice of Pawns. Some of you might know it because it's got a lot of a very high rating on Amazon. A Sacrifice of Pawns, A Warrior's Path, Book 3, and there within it's basically it's how the U.S. Army Rangers came to be. They were originally British irregular troops fighting for King George. They were forest fighters fighting in the Quebec, the Canadian. But they also went down to the Caribbean, and they were part of the big forces that took over the island of Martinique. and laid siege to El Morro Castle and the town of Havana, Cuba. And this book is 11 hours of swashbuckling insanity, and I'm the sole narrator. And there's also a very interesting piratical tie-in, because they also deal with a very, very vicious French privateer. So it's nautical, historical fiction, and it's got a lot of really great maritime.
So what's the title again?
It's called A Sacrifice of Pawns. You look at it on Audible or Amazon. It's about to be published, but you can see it on Amazon and see this incredible series. And if you like historical nautical fiction, and you like me, you take a look. Take a listen.
Take a good look at it then. Very good.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're reaching the point of our show that it's time to say goodbye, but we want to make sure that everybody knows how we get caught up and how you can catch up with us. One of the things we also like to brag about, Mr. Davey, what do we got for subscribers? Oh, wait, sponsors and supporters. Let's do that first. Ladies and gentlemen, there's our sponsors, our supporters, our shout out to all those people that are part of our support group and make this show possible. What do we have there? The Piderton Treasure Museum, the Colonial Oak, Dick's Wings, Scarlett's Shiver Me Pictures. And then at the very bottom is our charities that we do work for, Inc., St. Augustine Youth, and of course our St. Augustine Swashbucklers Toy Drive every Christmas. So we have some great, great sponsors of part of this show. And not only do we have great sponsors, but we have great subscribers and great patron support. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 4 sponsors now. We are up to 183. 2 episodes ago, we were at 160. And we've got 23 subscribers in the last 2 weeks.
Huzzah! Huzzah!
We are very proud of that. And if you want to be a part of our Patreon membership, we have the Powder Monkey membership for $1 a month and the First Mate membership for $5 a month. And we have 4 of those. The First Mate memberships, if you sign on for $5 a month, we will give you one of our grand coins, a poker chip, a $100 poker chip that's not worth $100, but it's still a grand souvenir. It has our logo on the back, and it has our catchphrase on the other side. So
looks like something I lost last week.
And I have given one of these as a token of thanks for our guest, but I have another gift for our guest. Every pirate must have a crew.
A winch? I get a winch?
No, I decided that you needed an actual crew. So, my friend, I have given you a crew of ducks.
A crew of ducks.
A crew of ducks for you to take and use in your show and have a good time with them, because now you have your own crew.
Well, what's amazing is actually I use a rubber ducky in my family fun show.
Well, now you have some more.
Thank you.
Very good, and that's a gift from us to you.
Well, thank you, Captain Mayhem, and thanks to all of you. I appreciate your attention and your support of this fantastic endeavor here. If it buys more ducks, you know, it's good in my book.
Hey, everybody needs to have a good duck once in a while.
Oh,
family show.
Family show.
Family show. Ladies and gentlemen, I just saw somebody post on there that they'll never see that same song again, ever. Thank you, Mr. Longwood, for ruining some people's good memories. Very good. Very, very good. I might dance my way off a scene here in just a few minutes, but I think, pardon me, I think we pretty well covered it. We're only a few minutes over our 1 hour. There it is, the bell, telling us it is time to pull into dock. So, ladies and gentlemen, we thank everybody for being here. And as always, we thank our guests, we thank our viewers, and we always say, Mr. Longwood,
part of the podcast,
part of the crew.
Always, we look forward to seeing you next week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being a part of our show tonight. We thank you.